Well, hello man cavers. What are we doing today? We are going to put this pump back together with the bits on the bench. It's all been painted over a week ago now, so it's all nice and hard. Nothing's soft. Can't dig my nail in. So we're not going to damage this pump getting her back together. So let's get on. I better bring you here so you can see what we're doing, haven't we? Let me bring you in. Well guys, you're in. We have all our assortment of bits for our pump. So we'll get this piece out of the way for the minute. We've got to turn our pump round. Here we are. And we need to put all these back in there. Quite simple. Nice little brass. Everything's brass on this. I do like it. So I'm going to have 5 minutes cleaning these up. Just wiping them down with a rag to make sure everything's alright. I did think about polishing all this bright brass, but there's a lot of patina on there. So I don't know whether having bright shiny brass is going to be right. So I've decided to leave it oxidised brass. So people know it's still old. You know what I mean? Because you can put all this back together and have all this bright shiny. And then no one's going to know, are they? They'll be like, well, is that modern? Is it old? This tap, I have given it a bit of a going over with some wire wool and WD-40. And I love the look of this, and it's dead smooth. So yes, we can be getting all of this stuff back on. Now I don't want to look back through the video, but I'm pretty sure these pins just came through and held these in like that. Pretty sure that this isn't going to take too long, this little job. Alright, another pin in here. There we go. If it's going in, let me get a tiny tapometer. There we go. Just to get that back through. There you go, that's back through. That one's through. This one here needs to come back through here. I like how these are a nice tight fit. There we go. Absolutely excellent. Now we're going to get this cover back on here. That sort of sits in, and then these flip over and tighten down. But it looks like these are sort of keyed. Aha! There we go. That one go, and that one go. Right, before we go clamping them down, there's a rubber seal in here, which is a little bit squashed and petrified. So I think what I'm going to do is have a good clean up in there and then put a little bit of RTV in there. Room temperature vulcanization cream. And look at this brass plate here. I was telling someone about that brass plate there yesterday. And they were like me, they were quite amazed that there was a brass plate in there. So I don't want this pump leaking out of this body. Now if that rubber seal will come out of there without breaking it, I'll take it out, wire brush in, you know what I mean, wire brush in the little gap. Let me grab a little pick tool here. There's a little seal. Will that come out without breaking? I do not like my chances of finding another seal, that's all. Where am I going to find a seal? Oh, for a Bernard pump. So I'm picking this out. Really carefully. without breaking it. Of course, this is, I think, it feels like it is a rubber and not a plastic. I think a little screwdriver is the best. Oh yeah, screwdriver's the job for this. Yes. There you go. We got our seal out, look. I think what I can be doing is wire brushing in this channel where that seal sits. There we go. We can just wire brush in this channel. Put some sealer in there. Some RTV. Stick the seal back in, a bit more sealer on the top. And I think we'll be good to go. Couple of shout outs when I was at Swaffham yesterday. I had a visitor from Melton Constable, one of my long-term subscribers, and he bought me some bits and pieces, some stationery engine magazines and some signs. Thank you very, very much for that, buddy. Lovely to see you again. There we go. Right, I need to just get my little compressor started up. I need to tidy this bench up, guys, I really do. I'll get my little compressor started up and then we can just blow that off. Of course, there is a little bit of crap there. There we go. Alright. Little compressor fired. There we are. There we go. Blow all the holes and there we go. There we go. There we are. That's just my little benchtop compressor. Right, let me get some RTV. We have some RTV blue here. We'll put a bead of this right the way around. I will squish that in with my finger. There we go, for that seal to sit on. There we are, look. Most therapeutic. Without making a lot of mess. We have a sealer all the way around. What we can just put that seal on. There we are. And that'll just put that seal in place. So where's our seal? Oh, this seal is a little bit crusty in places, but that's why we're putting it on with our RTV, so that'll like stick in place, and that RTV will take up any imperfections what are in there. So our seal is in, or it's in that side. I think a little bit more RTV around the outside of it. There we go. There we go. Nice little bit of sealer all the way around. And that'll hopefully seal all that together. We want a bit more around there. There we go. There we go. We've got a nice bead around there now. A nice thick bead of this RTV. There we are. That's just how we wanted it. There. Now we can be fitting this back on to our pump. And see if we can get these nuts I don't again know which way did that come, mister? Because that only come one way. No, that one was wrong. It's probably this way. That's it. There we go. Were there washers on that? Yep, there is washers go on there, guys. I thought there was by the look of that. Alright, let me get all these nuts off. And then we'll get some washers on there. These ones are a bit manky, so I might find some new ones. Hang on a minute. So, I've been through my pot of washers, and I found 3 nice washers here that go over them. Look, there we are. They need to be a decent sized washer because I got a bit of stress on them. So we're putting a decent washer over it. And these are quite heavy washers. Come on. Come on. We've got to get this. I've got to get this one. Where is it? No, this ain't right. Look, that ain't sitting right. I think I've got to take all these off and line this up a bit different to how I've lined it, because that ain't sitting right. So you must have to clock this a certain way to work. That one's definitely not right. That's got to be this way. One. Aha. There we go. 1, 2, 3. We weren't quite clocked right. So we'll put our washers back on and our nuts. And we can get these tightened down. And I think these are, what do you call it? Galvanised nuts as well. So I don't think they're going to rust. But we do want, because these are only brass nuts and pins. So you mustn't over tighten these anyhow, because you'll strip them. But there you go. So I aren't going to be rattling these up with a rattle gun. We will get the correct size spanner here to do these with. 18mm is perfect. So we want to turn this in. I'm starting to pull that pump in there. So we'll just starting to pull the pump in there. We want to pull this down quite even. So I'll all sit. Alright, that pump's going home there. Home there. Home here. Here. There you go. So we'll just make sure this pump is pulled down nice and even. I hope you can see what I'm doing there. Can you see that? You can just about see that, can't you? There we go. You can probably see a bit better now. Just tighten these down even. The gasket sealer is starting to squidge out, so we know we've got a good seal. Right, that one's gone quite tight. That one's gone quite tight. That one's gone quite tight. There we go. Wipe off this excess sealer. So we'll use our old dirty rag and just wipe all this blue off here. What we don't want. There we go. And that she should look really good. There we are. And here we are. That's our pump nearly back together. You're asking, why aren't we doing any more videos on the engine? Well, the next stage for the engine is when the trolley get back. I'm going to bolt the engine on the trolley and go for a start. Now, I was having a carb problem. With that engine, I seem to have had a carb problem. with that main jet where I couldn't get it undone with heat. That's a week ago. That was removed from the engine again and soaked, and it still will not open. I cannot get that main jet to split, but I reached out on the Bernard engine group if anyone had a brass carb, and a bloke said, I got 2 alloy carbs, I'll send them to you. Thank you very much for that, buddy. So he has. Well, I'm just going to see to start with if the alloy carb, if the jet out of that fits a brass carb. It might do, it might not. I couldn't tell you. I'm going to put a little bit of white plumbing tape around there. So yes, and once that's done, we can go for a start. Because off camera, I did give that engine a couple of flicks over on the bench here. And if I introduced fuel into the plug hole, that started up straight away. But, and this is a big but, it weren't drawing fuel on its own. So I think the problem is definitely that jet, which isn't right. There we go, we've got our white tape around there. Come on, we don't want that all to come off. I don't want that going in the top of that hole. There we are. Perfect. Right, let's screw this tap back on now. There we are. Alright, where's a spanner? What fits that? Bigger than that. No. Let's try a Whitworth one on there, guys, because that's brass, so it needs to be right. Ah, my biggest Whitworth's too small. Right, we're going to have to use adjustable. The adjustable's better than an ill-fitting 32, so we just want to crack this down a little so it don't leak. I want to try and get the tap round this way if I can. I don't want to over tighten this though. No, that's as tight as that's going to go. We're going to have the tap this way. I don't want to over tighten that and risk wringing it off. Another little clean up. There's a bit of blue in there I've missed. There we are, it's not a problem. Absolutely perfect. Right, what else goes in there? We have a greaser. So again, we'll get our dirtiest rag and screw this greaser back in. Because now I've... Oh, cool, that's tight now, look. Why is that gone tight since I put that plate back on? That wasn't tight. That weren't tight at all. Cool. That is now. Alright, I think we may have over tightened this gland. Maybe you can over tighten it. Maybe it don't need tightening fully up. You guys are going to tell me. Well, undo these 1/4 turn each and see if that makes any difference. It's a bit better. Let's go another 1/4 turn. There we are. Another 1/4. Another 1/4. Nope, that's still a little bit tight in there, guys. I'm sure once that's running for a bit, that'd come back around, but this one feels tighter than the other. Let's come another 1/4 with that one. There's nothing come out, there's nothing we've missed, so they'll all come to pieces, so Right, these are all relatively loose now. Yeah, these are all relatively loose. We're just going to pry out. That's better, look, there you go. Much better. Yeah, that's much better. I think once the pump's up and running, if it does leak, I think you just tighten these down a little bit till the pump run right. We have got to pack a load of grease in there, which is what the grease is for. What size spanner is this greaser? 16mm exactly. You wonder why I'm using metric? Well, I think this is 1940s, 50s French. I think Bernard is French. And the French used metric long before we did. So that's probably why a 16mm fits this oiler perfect, greaser perfectly. There we go, guys. There we go. I think this is our pump. Oh yeah, that's much better. See this little oil bath in here? Look, there's a little loose washer, if you can see in there, and you fill this with oil, and as it goes around, the washer sort of hang loose on the shaft, and that washer sort of lift the oil up and drag it around. So that'll lubricate this bearing in here, and then this bearing in here, you can tighten these down, and that's like a gland packing, but there's also grease in there. So we will, in fact we can be doing that now actually, we can take this greaser cap off, and we can actually be packing that full of grease. There is a decent amount of grease in there. Alright, let me get some grease and a pair of gloves. So I don't like grease on my fingers, and we can be doing that. Right, there's a couple of things we need to do before we go greasing up. Take the middle out of this greaser. You wonder why I didn't do this when that was in the vent on the thing. Well, it's easier sometimes to do this off the vent. Make sure this centre hole in here is all clear, so the grease will actually pass through. There we go. There's a little bearing piece here. That's like your little stop. Can you see that? That's like a little one-way valve which lets the grease through and not the other way. So we just want to make sure by poking a wire through. These should be clear. I've never known. There you go. We're going right through. There we are. So that grease will pass right through that pump body into that pump. Belt and braces maybe, but it's sometimes worth doing that just for peace of mind that when you're turning that down, you are going to get grease down in there. There we go. Tighten him back up. There we are. So there we go. And then get your pin again and just make sure that centre presses down. Which it does. That's pressing down on a spring, look. So we know when we crank grease in there, it is going to force its way into this pump and not come back out. We're just using some standard grease. There we go. Fill these caps up. I hate grease on my hands, guys. I really do. Oil I can cope with. Grease, no, it's horrible stuff. Then we just screw this cap. Oof, we've got some excess there. I'll put too much in there, look. Try and get that off them threads so it don't all squidge out. I've had to take my coat off. Do you know that? First time this year, I've had to take my coat off in the shed because I was getting hot. Why is that gone tight? Come on. Can't get this cap back on the greaser, guys. There you go. I must have had that cross-threaded or something. So wipe that excess grease out and just tighten this down as far as you can get it. Because I did wash the grease out of there with brake cleaner, so we totally dried this flange out when we stripped the pump. I totally went through there with brake cleaner because that was all congealed grease in there. So that's totally bone dry of grease. Is that a little hole there? That is, there's a little hole there. Do you reckon grease come out of there when that's full? Because that's like there's a little hole. Yeah. Right, that's about as far in as that one's going to go. So we'll take him right out again and fill that cap back up with grease. I reckon there's grease meant to squidge out of that little hole and that let you know that's full. Maybe not, correct me if I'm wrong. There you go. Let's put another thumbful of grease in there. There we are. Right. Sure. That's way too much. Normally you fill these greases right up. Turns out this one, you don't fill it to the top. That's a job to get started, this one, and the threads aren't damaged. It's a job to get this one started. Luckily you don't have to, there we go. No, that's gone on there crossed again, look. Oh, there we go. It's a job to get that greaser started, guys. I mean, normally you don't have to do this every day. Normally you'd only have to take that greaser off, depending on usage, of course, but on the rally field, you might only have to sort of, you know, turn them down a couple of times every day, so that might only want sort of one cap full of grease a year. Alright, that's going tight, which is telling me that's now got some pressure on it. And my gloves are slippery, which mean I can't grip this very well. That's better, I can grip it now. There we are. There's grease on the back of this damn greaser. Well, that's gone in there pretty tight. That's gone down there pretty tight now, so we'll give her a turn. Oh yeah, now I've turned it, I can screw it in another few turns like. There you go. Alright, we're starting to squidge grease out of the bottom. So I think this is full. Whether there's meant to be grease come out of that little hole, I couldn't tell you. That is slightly shiny in there actually. Yeah, there's grease on the end of this pick. So there's definitely grease getting through there. Oh, that's feeling a lot better now I've got some grease in there. That did feel a bit dry. I think we're on the case now. Yeah, that's feeling much better. That's definitely now got some grease going around it. Much better indeed. There we are. This is top banana, guys. We'll keep feeding a little bit of grease in. Am I going to put oil in this cap yet? No. Because if you put your pump down or that tip over, oil's just going to run out. We'll wait till that's in the trolley. Then we'll get the oil back in there. There we go. Yeah, every time I turn this a bit, I'm getting a couple more turns, which mean that is taking the grease. Oh yeah. So I think now this is, yeah, that's fully greased, guys. We aren't going to get a lot more in there. You turn it and then you can do another half a turn, which is how it should be. There you go. Right, long-winded, but we've repacked this gland in here with grease. So we're looking in our little tin now. Is there anything else? Is there anything else to go back on this pump? I don't think so. These other bits in there are for the engine tins. Now maybe grease don't come out of there. If I look in the light, I can see the grease though spinning around in there, so I can see down that hole that there is grease. So it is worked up and down the shaft, no problem. Am I going to tighten these gland washers up? No. We'll leave them until we actually start running water through this, and then we can have a bit of a closer look to see if it needs anything. See if that needs tightening up a bit, because that's weeping. There we are. I think that's our pump just about rebuilt. All back together. There she is, looking really good. I'm quite happy with that. That's all reassembled. Pins are all back in. Yeah, it's looking spectacular. That'll be nice. And I'm sure that little clicky noise is just where this cover. I think they'll all need to settle back in and seat, and it'll be absolutely fine. Once you get water through it and get it running, that'll bed back in. It's not binding at all. There we go. I think that's going to be about it for this video. I think now we've done a little bit of work and got the pump back together. She's looking splendid-ooty. There we are. Everything's back on her. And there we go. That will do nicely. Right, I think we're going to call this a day. So guys, thank you very much for watching, like and subscribe. A little Bernard video. I didn't realise till I read the comments that several of you were actually looking forward to seeing this burn had been done, and I didn't know that because I did show it a few months ago when I first got it, not realising that it would be quite as popular as it is. It seems like a lot of you guys have been waiting to see this little burner being done. Right, we're going to leave the video here, and I think the next time I shall get them carbs what the gentleman sent me, thank you very much buddy, and we'll take the jet out and see if that'll go in my brass carb. Right, that's going to be it for now though. I'll see you next time. Like and subscribe. Bye bye for now. Ha ha. Better zoom in on this pump.